The text from my mother-in-law, Diana, was cold and direct. "We're leaving for the airport in an hour. We'll drop Lily off with you for the week. Please have her room ready." That was it. No, please. No, thank you. Just an order. My husband, Tom, was away on a business trip. They always did this when he was gone. I was just the free babysitter. I looked around my small, quiet apartment. I wasn't ready for a child, especially not one who hadn't spoken a word in 2 years. Lily was 7 years old, with wide, sad blue eyes and hair the color of corn silk. She was my niece, but I barely knew her. My brother-in-law and his wife had passed away in a car accident 3 years ago. Since then, Diana and Frank had raised her. They said she stopped speaking after the accident. The doctors called it selective mutism. They said it was trauma. But I always felt there was something more. Something they weren't telling me. Diana and Frank arrived exactly 1 hour later. They bustled in, dragging a small pink suitcase. Diana didn't even look at me. Her schedule is on the fridge. She goes to bed at 7 sharp. No sweets. Frank just stood by the door, looking uncomfortable. Lily stood between them, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. She looked so small and scared. My heart ached for her. "We'll be in Hawaii," Diana said, as if I should be impressed. "Try not to mess this up." Then they turned and left. Just like that. The door clicked shut. The apartment was silent. Lily stood perfectly still in the middle of the living room, her bear held tight. I knelt down so I was at her eye level. "Hey, Lily," I said softly. "I'm your Aunt Maya. We're going to have a good week together, okay? You must be hungry. How about some pancakes for dinner?" She didn't react. She just stared at a spot on the wall behind me. Her silence was a heavy blanket in the room. I made pancakes. I put a plate with a smiley face made of blueberries in front of her. She didn't touch it. I tried to talk about my job as a graphic designer. I showed her my cat, Whiskers, who was hiding under the couch. Nothing. After an hour, I cleaned up. I felt a crushing sense of failure. How was I supposed to reach her? I led her to the guest room. I tucked her into bed. She clutched her bear, her eyes wide open. "Good night, Lily," I whispered. I turned off the light. The next morning was the same. Silent. I worked from my laptop at the kitchen table while she sat on the floor, coloring. But she wasn't just coloring. She was drawing the same thing over and over. A big house, a tall tree, and a swing. Under each picture, she wrote 3 letters, SOS. My blood ran cold. SOS. The universal call for help. Was it just a drawing? Or was it a message? I knew then that her silence wasn't just about grief. It was about fear. I decided to change my approach. I didn't talk at her. I just talked to her, like she could understand everything. "I'm going to the store, Lily. Do you want to come? We can get any cereal you want. Even the sugary kind." To my surprise, she looked up. She gave a tiny, almost invisible nod. It was the first response I had gotten. My heart leaped. It was a small crack in her wall. It was a start. We put on our jackets and left the apartment. At the grocery store, I let her push the little cart. I pointed out silly things. "Look, green spaghetti. Who would eat that?" For a second, I thought I saw the ghost of a smile. We were in the cereal aisle when my phone rang. It was Diana. Her voice was loud. "Is everything okay? Is she eating?" I told her we were fine. "Don't give her too much sugar," she warned. "And don't let her draw on the walls. She has a bad habit." I hung up, feeling annoyed. Lily was staring at the floor again. That night, I had a video call with Tom. "How's my favorite niece?" he asked, smiling. I told him she was quiet, but we were managing. I didn't mention the SOS drawings. I didn't know why, but I wanted to keep it to myself for now. Lily sat on the couch, listening. When Tom said, "Be good for Aunt Maya," she looked directly at the screen. She didn't smile, but she nodded. It was a real, clear nod. Tom's eyes widened. "Did she just—" "Yes," I said, my voice full of wonder. "She did." On the third day, I took her to the park. The sun was shining. Kids were laughing and shouting. Lily watched them from a bench, her teddy bear on her lap. I sat next to her. "You know, Lily," I said softly, "it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared. And it's okay to talk about it when you're ready. No one is going to be angry with you. I promise." She turned her head and looked at me. Really looked at me. Her blue eyes were deep, like the ocean. We walked home from the park, hand in hand. It was the first time she had reached for me. My phone buzzed. Another text from Diana. "Send a picture. We want to see she's okay." I rolled my eyes. I took a picture of Lily eating an apple on the couch. I sent it. A minute later, my phone rang. It was Frank. "Why does she look so tired? What have you been doing to her?" I was shocked. "We went to the park, Frank. She's fine." He grumbled and hung up. Lily was watching me, her expression unreadable. That night, I was washing dishes. Lily was coloring at the table. I heard a small sound. A whisper. I turned off the water, my heart pounding. Had I imagined it? I stayed perfectly still. Then I heard it again. A tiny, raspy voice. I turned around slowly. Lily was looking right at me, her lower lip trembling. She took a small breath. And then she spoke. 7 words that shattered my world and changed everything forever. They took me from my real mommy's house. I froze. The plate I was holding almost slipped from my hand. Her voice was so small, so hoarse from lack of use, but the words were clear. They echoed in the silent kitchen. They took me from my real mommy's house. My mind was racing. Her real mommy? Her parents were dead. Weren't they? I walked slowly to the table and knelt down. "Lily," I whispered, my own voice shaking. Can you tell me more? Who took you?" She clutched her bear tighter. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "Grandma and Grandpa," she whispered. "After the car crash. They said my mommy was gone. They said I had to live with them now. They said if I ever talked about my old house, they would send me away forever." More tears fell. I miss my mommy's songs. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just grief. This was a kidnapping. Diana and Frank had taken her from her mother's family. They had used fear to keep her silent. For 3 years, they had lied to everyone. To me. To Tom. To the whole world. I had to stay calm for her. I reached out and took her small hand. "Lily, you are so brave. So brave for telling me. No one is going to send you away. You are safe with me. I promise." I hugged her gently, and for the first time, she hugged me back. Her small body shook with sobs. I felt a fire ignite inside me. A fierce, protective anger. I needed proof. I needed to find out the truth. And I needed to do it before Diana and Frank came back from Hawaii. I put Lily to bed, reading her a story until she fell into an exhausted sleep. Then I went to my laptop. I started searching for my brother-in-law's name, Michael, and his wife, Anna. I found her obituary. It mentioned she was survived by her parents, Eleanor and James. They lived in a town just 2 hours away. Why had we never met them? Diana always said they were unstable, that they didn't want anything to do with Lily. That was clearly another lie. I found a phone number for Eleanor. My hand was trembling as I dialed. A woman with a gentle voice answered. Hello. I took a deep breath. Eleanor? My name is Maya. I'm Tom's wife, Michael's brother. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. We were told. Diana said your family wanted no contact, she said, her voice thick with emotion. We've been fighting for 3 years to see our granddaughter. The courts gave Diana and Frank temporary custody after the accident. Then they moved and cut us off. I told her everything. About Lily's silence, about the SOS drawings, and about the 7 words she had spoken. Eleanor began to cry. She remembers. Oh, my sweet girl remembers. She explained that Lily's mother, Anna, used to sing her a special lullaby every night. It was about a little sparrow. It was our family's song. My own tears fell. Lily had mentioned her mother's songs. This was real. Diana and Frank had stolen this child from her loving grandparents. They had erased her past. I called Tom. It was the middle of the night for him, but I didn't care. I told him the whole story. At first, he was in disbelief. My parents? They wouldn't. They said her grandparents were a bad influence. But as I laid out the facts, the SOS, the whispered confession, the song, his doubt crumbled. Oh my God, he whispered. What have they done? He booked the first flight home. Keep her safe, Maya. Do not let my parents near her when they get back. The next day, I played a video on my phone. It was Eleanor, singing the sparrow lullaby. When Lily heard it, her whole face lit up. A real, beautiful smile broke through. She started to hum along, her voice soft and wobbly. Then she started to sing the words. It was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. She remembered every word. In that moment, I knew we were going to fix this. We were going to bring her home. Tom arrived home, his face pale and grim. He swept Lily into a huge hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry I didn't know. She hugged his neck tightly. We sat together on the couch, and Lily, in her little raspy voice, told him about the big house with the swing and the tree. She described her room at her grandparents' house. The room Diana and Frank had told her to forget. Tom listened, his jaw tight, tears in his eyes. The last of his disbelief vanished. The day Diana and Frank were due back, we didn't wait at my apartment. We went to the police station with Eleanor and James. We had all the evidence, the recorded call with Eleanor, photos of Lily's drawings, and our own statements. Most importantly, we had Lily. When a kind female officer knelt down and asked her name, she said, Lily. And I want to live with my Nana and Papa. It was the first full sentence she had spoken freely in 3 years. We were in a private room when Diana and Frank stormed into the police station, demanding to know where their granddaughter was. The police brought them in to see us. Diana's face was a mask of fury. What is the meaning of this? Lily, come here this instant. Lily flinched and hid behind my legs. Frank saw Eleanor and James and his face went white. He knew the game was over. The police officer stepped forward. Mr. and Mrs. Peterson, we need to ask you some questions. It all came out. They had lied to the courts. They had hidden documents. They had terrorized a little girl into silence because they were afraid her mother's family would win custody. They didn't want to lose their last connection to their son. But their grief had turned into something dark and selfish. Temporary custody was immediately revoked. As they were led away for questioning, Diana shot me a look of pure hate. I didn't even flinch. I was holding a smiling, chatting little girl's hand. That was a year ago. Lily now lives with Eleanor and James in the big house with the swing and the tall tree. Her room is filled with pictures of her mom and dad. She talks, she laughs, she sings the sparrow song every night. Tom and I visit every weekend. The silence in her eyes is gone, replaced by a bright, happy light. They told everyone she was broken. But she wasn't broken. She was just a prisoner. And all it took was one safe week and 7 little words to set her free. If you've made it this far, you understand. A child's silence isn't always broken. It's sometimes a weapon for survival. Lily taught me that. They called her broken, but she was the bravest person I knew. Her quiet was her shield until she found someone safe enough to speak her truth. If this story of a silent child finding her voice resonated with you, share it. Share it with anyone who has ever been made to feel invisible or told their truth doesn't matter. Tell them their voice is their power. Your story matters. Subscribe for more journeys about finding courage in the quiet and justice in the truth. The greatest triumphs begin the moment someone finally listens. Lily's worth was never in question. It was only waiting for someone to finally hear it. Have you ever had to prove your worth to a family that underestimated you? Share your story in the comments below and don't forget to like. Your story matters. Subscribe for more journeys about finding courage in the quiet and justice in the truth. The greatest triumphs begin the moment someone finally listens. Lily's worth was never in question. It was only waiting for someone to finally hear it. Have you ever had to prove your worth to a family that underestimated you? Share your story in the comments below and don't forget to like.